Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm incredibly excited to bring you guys a review on the ECOMOBL ET. Now this is my very first electric skateboard that is an all-terrain board, so you know I'm incredibly excited. But before we get into the review, you know I have to address the elephant in the room. Now when I told people that I had this board, I got a lot of direct messages from people wondering, is this board really good? And people question the quality of the board because of its affiliate and brand ambassador program. It's a very aggressive program. So people are wondering, is the board really good? Or are all these brand ambassadors really out here just kind of hyping it up, trying to get board sales? And I'm happy to share with you guys that I think that the ECOMOBL ET is a solid board. So let's go ahead and talk about the ride experience. The board is composed of 9 layers of Canadian maple, and of course that's on the stiffer side because of the way that the battery is structured. It runs the entire length of the board. One of the things I like about it is that it has a double drop down deck, and I found that was helpful when trying to accelerate or brake to really lock your feet in place. The overall length is about 40 inches, and the drop down area, the places where you actually plant your feet at, you have about 26 inches of room to maneuver your feet up and down. Now, the widest part of the deck, which is right near the drop down areas, is about 10 inches. And I noticed that you were able to get about 3 inches of clearance from the board to the ground as well. That was pretty solid. Now, many of you guys know that I kind of lean toward boards that have a little flex to them to kind of help eat up the cracks and the vibrations. But I can honestly say that this wasn't a very uncomfortable ride at all. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that how large the wheels are and the material that the wheels are made out of. But we'll talk about the wheels a little bit later. But overall, no major complaints about the deck. Pretty solid to me. Now, this is probably one of my favorite aspects of this board. The lights on this board are absolutely amazing. Now, the lights are fully integrated on this board. And what I mean by that is that you don't have to bend over, turn the lights on, or charge the lights. Everything is actually connected to the board and the battery of the board, so you don't have to charge lights or anything like that. One of the elements that I really love about it is the fact that it has rear braking lights in the back, then it also has blue undertail lights, and then it also has front facing lights as well. And you see, the thing about it is when you actually brake, not only do the rear lights flash that you're braking, but then also what you'll notice is that actually all of the lights flash. So no matter where people are, if they're in front of you, if they're on the side of you, they're going to see that you're making some kind of a change, whether you're braking or accelerating or whatever the case may be. So I thought that was a really nice touch. And then the fact that these lights are integrated is amazing. You can actually turn the lights on by just using the remote, which I think is really solid. One of the things that is really important and I think is worth mentioning is that the rear facing lights are actually angled up at like maybe about a 45 to 50 degree angle. And what that does is it actually allows people to really see that you're braking from the back. A lot of other boards are starting to integrate lights on their boards, tail lights and things like that. But to me, they're a little bit more gimmicky than practical because they sit so far under the tail of the deck that you can't even really see them, people behind you. But the way these lights are structured on the board, people from a good distance can actually see you. So I think that is very solid and impressive. The wheels are 150mm airless tires and they have a high grip pattern. And even though the board has a stiff deck, I can honestly say that it's not a bad or uncomfortable ride, and I attribute a lot of that to the actual wheels themselves. Now, they eat up a lot of vibrations, but then also the material of the wheels, to me, it makes the wheels very grippy when you're carving. And I also found that when you transition from different type of surfaces, so let's say you're on the road and then you ride down into some grass or some dirt, it really handled those transitions very well. You didn't feel wobbly or unstable, so I thought that was very solid. The other thing that I think that these wheels might do well is that I never like to ride in the rain, but I think that these wheels might do pretty good in kind of like moist situations because of like the rubber material. They're really almost like car tires. So the tires were very solid to me. They were very grippy. They ate up a lot of cracks and vibrations, and they do a good job of helping you navigate whatever type of terrain that you may be riding on. Very solid to me. This board is utilizing a very unique motor system, and I'm not an expert in this at all. A lot of other boards are using either direct drive, belt drive, or you may even see hub motor drives. This board is actually utilizing Planetary gearing, and it's pretty interesting, and I'll put up some images of it, and I'll show some actual video of the wheels actually rolling. It actually has like a gear system within it, and it kind of turns, and I think that it looks pretty cool, and it's supposed to have some added benefits of giving a lot of power, torque, and acceleration, and then also kind of helping you being able to ride in kind of muddy, wet type situations. So it was pretty interesting to see. I can't wait to see what the long-term outcome of this is going to be. But one of the things that you're going to notice with these Planetary gearing system is that it's not going to win any awards for being the most quiet riding system at all. This system is very loud. And some people like that, others don't like it. I don't mind it because it allows people to know that you're coming. When I was riding this board on the trail, people definitely knew that I was coming, and joggers were able to get out of the way. Bikers were able to move over to the side. So it prevented me from constantly having to say on your left, to let people know that I'm there. So I have no major complaints with this. Some people say that the gearing system on this particular board is going to need a little bit more maintenance because you're going to have to take things apart, grease things, and things like that. But overall, I have no major complaints with the Planetary gearing system. Now, this board is utilizing a 648 watt-hour 12S3P battery configuration, and they're saying that the board is going to come in two type of configurations: a power configuration, ESC, which will have 15 to 20 miles, and then a range configuration, which should have about 20 to 25 miles. I was actually able to get about 16 miles range on the board with some conservative and semi-aggressive riding, and that's not bad, I would say, for this particular board and then my weight. But I do think that if I was riding a little bit more aggressively, what I noticed sometimes is that if I rode up a hill really hard, the battery did go down some. So heavier riders that are riding very aggressively, you're probably not going to get the full 16 to 20 mile range that they're stating. But I think that the range is a decent range for a lot of riders out there, being able to ride the board, enjoy the riding experience, and then stop, maybe charge it up. Now, I was speaking with ECOMOBL, and they were saying that in the future they're going to go with some Samsung 40T cells, and those cells are actually a little bit more beefy. A lot of people respect them a lot more in the DIY community and things like that, so those added new cells are probably going to take the riding experience to a whole nother level. Can't wait to see what that's going to look like there. The trucks are 15 inches wide, and they're CNC milled. And the interesting thing about these trucks is that a lot of times when you see all-terrain type boards, they utilize like a double kingpin setup. This board is actually more so set up like a regular street board, and I think that they did that to kind of help with the stability of the board. Now, I recently just got a all-terrain board that is double kingpin. Can't talk too much about it, and I will say that you definitely feel a little bit less stable on the board, but what that double kingpin situation does is it allows you to kind of have a better turning radius. But interestingly, the ECOMOBL, even though it's not utilizing a double kingpin setup, I found that you still have a pretty good turning radius on the board. It's not bad at all. I did take this board off road. It got a couple of little nicks and chips on it, but overall, I think that it performed very well. I have no major complaints about this. The remote. This board is utilizing the Yeeling ESC, and then it also has the standard remote that you see with a lot of those type of ESCs. And I actually enjoy this remote because the remote allows you to do a lot of different functionality with the board. You can turn on the lights by just utilizing the remote. You can actually turn on the board by just utilizing the remote. Turn on the remote, kick the board up and back a little bit, it automatically comes on. I like the fact that you can change the different speed modes. The remote also shows you the signal that it has with the board to kind of let you know how strong the signal is. This is a very decent remote, no major complaints. Now, this is an area where this board definitely shines. This board has a lot of acceleration and torque, and it's very impressive, to be honest about it. Now, ECOMOBL's advertising that people can get somewhere upwards of about 35 miles per hour. And when I saw that, I was like, that seems like a lot. But to be honest about it, I think that that is achievable. Now, my top speed on this board was around 24 miles per hour, and that's because I need to change out the bushings on the board so that I felt a little bit more stable to really push it. However, a buddy of mine rode the board, and he's about 45 to 50 pounds lighter than me. He actually got it up to 30 miles per hour, and he said that he wasn't fully throttling it. So it's no doubt in my mind that this board can actually achieve the top speed that they're stating. The acceleration is very impressive as well, and the hill climbing is very impressive also. This thing can really climb up hills. Even with somebody my weight, I had no problems going up hills, and then even that torque was very helpful when riding off-road a little bit and conquering rocks and grass and things like that. Overall, I would say that the acceleration and torque is pretty solid. Now, this board, I think they're giving you a lot of value. When you purchase the board, it comes with like a little kit, a little container that has a kit in there with your Allen keys and tools and things like that. But then it also comes with a nice little cool ECOMOBL t-shirt. So I thought that that was a pretty cool touch. And then the little carrying container actually looks nice. It's not something that you wouldn't mind just bringing with you as kind of like in your everyday carry. The other thing I thought was pretty cool was the bumper guards that it comes with. That's some added value there because that's one less thing that you have to purchase. And then with a board like this where you're taking it off road and things like that, you probably want your deck to be protected in the front and the rear. So that was pretty solid. And then we'll touch on the lights a little bit more. I really enjoyed these lights. They're integrated. You don't have to take them off to charge them. They're actually bright. That's a lot of saved money right there. A lot of times when people buy their boards, one of the first things that they do is install lights on them. This board is coming with the lights. They're integrated. When you brake, they shine. Very impressive. I really enjoy it. To one of my favorite elements of my reviews, and that is the nitpicks. This is a pretty solid board, to be honest about it. I like a lot about this board, but I think it's important to kind of share some of the things that I actually think can be improved on the boards. One of the things that I think maybe they could address is the logo on the board is so large. When you look at the top of the grip tape, the logo takes up probably 60 to 70% of the grip tape. When you look underneath the board, you also see the logo there, and it's really large. I don't mind the logo being large underneath the board, but I would like to see that logo on the actual grip tape maybe be a little bit smaller. It doesn't have to be so much in your face. To some people, that's not going to be a big deal because they'll just change out the grip tape. So just a little something that I noticed. One of the other things that I noticed is that when riding the board, if you're not mindful, a few times the heel of my rear foot actually hit the rear tire, and that was mainly when I was turning really hard. So if you're not mindful, it can actually touch. But other than that, those are my only real, I would say, nitpicks or things that I see could be improved on the board. And this leads me into my final thoughts. Overall, I enjoyed this board. This is my very first all-terrain electric board, and it definitely gave me a completely different riding experience from somebody who has generally ridden street boards. When I think about this board, I love the acceleration, I love the torque, I really enjoy the lights on the board, and I like the fact that when I'm riding this board, if I'm on a trail, if it gets too crowded on the trail, I can just ride off road a little bit and kind of go around people, and I did that a couple of times. So overall, I would say that was a pretty solid riding experience, and I think that if people do purchase this board, I think that they're actually getting a decent board. As always, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and checking out the review. It is always my goal to provide honest, transparent, and fair reviews. And if you like what you've heard about this board, please check out the description. I have a discount code that saves you a little money on your board. As always, I'll see you at the top because the bottom is too crowded. Peace.